looks like we're live. Greetings to you, your family, and everybody in your community. Hopefully everybody's doing good on your side. So I'm back again. Now, I remember I told you that this channel, I specifically set it up to teach people, to give information on credit, how to manage credit, how to improve your credit, how to fix your credit, how to handle credit, right? Because a lot of people don't really have a lot of information when it comes to credit. What is credit, how it works, what credit card is, and so on. So that's why I try to keep these videos short, so I can give you as much information so you can improve your credit, fix your credit, establish your credit, and do all the other stuff that you want to do with credit. So the first question is, what do you want to, what is the reason for you wanting to fix your credit? That's what you have to ask yourself, right? There's got to be a reason why you want to fix your credit, why you want to improve your credit, because knowing the reason will kind of give you a goal for you to stay committed, for you to stay consistent on you fixing your credit, because it does take time, it does take patience, and it does take a little bit of a strategy for you to do it. So you have to ask yourself, what is the reason for me wanting to fix my credit? Is it for you to buy a house? Is it for you to rent an apartment? Is it for you to get that job? Because remember, most employers nowadays, they do check your credit before they can hire you. In a lot of apartments, if you're renting an apartment, they will check your credit. So it's standard. If you want to buy a home, your credit comes in play. If you want to get a loan, if you want to get a credit card, if you want, credit plays a major role in our day-to-day activities, in our day-to-day life. So your first question is, why do you want to fix your credit? Why do you want to improve your credit? What is the reason? So you can stay consistent, so you can stay focused, so that you can know the reason. Now here's the thing. So when it comes to credit, there's two categories of people, right? So you're either establishing credit, or you're repairing your credit. So if you're establishing your credit, it's because you don't have any credit, or you have a thin credit, or you're not in the credit profile or the credit system at all. So for those category of people, those that want to establish credit or don't have any credit profile, what you want to do is your strategy will be different than the person who already has credit and want to repair their credit. So if you fall in this category where you want to establish credit, or you don't have a credit profile, you've never had any credit, you've never been in the credit profile, in the credit system. So what you want to do is, so it goes back to the first question I asked: what is the reason why you want to fix your credit, or you want to improve your credit, or you want to establish credit? Is it to buy a house? Is it to rent an apartment? Is it to get the job? Is it to, that's the first question you want to ask yourself. What's the reason? Why am I fixing my credit, and why do I need to fix my credit? So for people that are in category number one, establishing your credit or fixing your credit, the way you want to go about it is this: because you're establishing credit means you don't have any credit, you're not in the credit bureau, you're not in the credit system, you don't exist in the credit profile, right? So your first step is to actually go and get a credit card, apply for a credit card. The best place to do it is usually Capital Ones. They're good because they offer you a secure credit card. It's not dependent on your credit history, because you don't have any credit history, in the beginning, because you're establishing credit, right? You don't have any credit history. You want to build your credit. You want to establish your credit. So companies like Capital Ones are good because they offer you a secure credit card. So a secure credit card is basically you put down a deposit of, I think it's $75, or I don't know how much they ask, or $50, and then they will give you a credit limit, let's say of, they might start you out with a small credit limit of $300, right? So you can build your credit, but it's based, so it's secured, right? So you have to put a deposit. So that's why the approval rate with Capital One is high, because it's a secure credit card. You have to put the deposit in, and then they will give you a credit card so that you can begin to build your credit. So remember, this credit card that you will get is for you to build your credit, right? You have to be smart with it. So now, once you get that credit card, so let's say your credit limit is $300, right? Now the rule of thumb is, in the credit industry, in the credit bureaus with banks, is that you never want to use more than 30% of your available credit, right? So don't use more than 30% at any given time, because your credit cycles every 30 days, right? Every 30 days you get a new statement in cycle. So within that 30-day span, you do not want to use your credit card more than 30% of the available credit. So if your available credit is $300, you don't want to use it within that 30 days time frame, because your credit cycles every 30 days. Every 30 days you get a new statement. So within that 30 days, you always want to keep it under, let's say, $90, right? You don't want to use more than $90, right? So keep it under $90. So within that month period, right, keep it under $90. Now, once you use it, right, always have to have the habit of paying it right away, or at least pay half of it, right? So you use it, you pay right away. If you can't, try to pay off the full balance on the due date or before the due date, right? So you use it, you pay it off right away. So let's say if you use it 2 weeks later, you get your paycheck, pay it off, right? If it's $80, pay it off. Make what you can do is you can make consistent payment on it, so you pay it off, so that way you don't carry a balance at the end of the month, right? So use it and then pay it off immediately, right? So use it and then on your next paycheck. So you got to treat it as your debit account, right? You always want to refill it, right? Refill it, use it and then refill it, use it and then pay it off. That's how you build credit. Credit is very easy. The concept of credit is very easy, but a lot of people make it confusing to everybody. It's a very simple concept when it comes to credit. When you have a credit card, you never want to use more than 30% of your available credit. That's just that's industry standard, right? So as I mentioned, if your credit card limit is $300, don't use more than 90% of that, right? Always keep it under $90, $80 within a month period, right? Because your credit cycles, as I mentioned, every 30 days you get a new statement. So within that month, don't use more than 30%, because that's a date. That's your credit card company is recording all that information, right? Because every time you use your credit, right, that's when they start sending the credit report to the credit bureau. So remember, always keep it under 30%. So 90, if it's a $300 credit limit, use less than 90%. So let's say $90 or less, right? And then pay it off right away, right? Or pay it off before the due date. Or if you're not able to pay off the full balance, pay at least half of it, right? Try to get half paid off, right? Never pay the minimum payment. Don't just make the minimum payment, because when you just make the minimum payment, you're sending the wrong signal to the credit card company. You're telling the credit card company that you can only afford to make the minimum payment, and that kind of, that's the data that they're compiling on you, right? So let me recap. For people that are establishing credit, you don't have any credit, you have a thin credit, you're not in the credit bureau, you're looking to get into to the credit system, so that way, because you're either trying to buy a house, or you're either trying to rent an apartment, or your job, or you just want to build yourself a credit profile, right? So get you a secure card with Capital One, and so there's Capital One, and then there's MBNA. These are the two credit card companies that I know of that will help you establish your credit, right? So these MBNA or Capital One. So establishing your credit, or you don't have any credit in the system and then you want to get in it. So once you get it, whatever the credit limit is, never use more than 90% of that. So if it's $500 credit limit that they give you, never use more than $500. If it's $300, never use more than never use more than 30% of the 500, and never use more than 30% of the 500. So with 500, I believe it's 150. So you never want to use more than 150 within that 30-day cycle, because your statement prints every month, right? So at the end of the month, they send it to the credit bureau. That's how they're able to compile your credit card information and stuff like that. So always pay your bills on time. That's how you build credit. Credit is very simple. Never max out your credit card. So number one is pay your bill on time. Never use more than 30% of your available credit, and never max out your credit card. That's like a no. Never max it out. So if you have $300, never max it out, right? If you do max it out, you pay that off the next day, right? Don't even let it, right? Never max out your credit card, because that's how you build good credit habits, right? So that's for people that are establishing credit. Very simple. Credit, understanding credit is very simple. You use your credit, you pay it off on time, right? You never max it out, and never use more than 30% of your available credit. That's just industry standard. That's credit profile standard. That's coming directly from the Equifax and TransUnion, because those are the two credit bureaus, Equifax and TransUnion. They will tell you the way they calculate your credit score is 30% of it is based on available credit or capacity, right? And then 35% is based on your payment history, and then I believe 10% is based on the more accounts that you open, and then another 10% is based on, I think, inquiries, and 15% on the length of credit. But the biggest percentage when it comes to them calculating your credit is based on the available your available credit, right? Your available credit and with the available credit with your balance. So whatever your balance is, that's how they're able to calculate this. That's why your available credit. So if it's $300, as I mentioned, you don't want to use more than 30% of that $300, right? Keep it always underneath $90, right? So 30%, this is from Equifax and TransUnion. That's how they calculate your credit, right? So 30% of it is based on your the amount that you owe. Actually, okay, that's the better way to put it. The amount that you owe on your available credit, and then the other 35% is based on your payment history. So this is how they calculate your credit score, your credit profile, and stuff like that, right? It's based on your payment history. Payment history is made up of 35%. Amount you owe is made up of 30%, and then there's other. But those are the two major activities that you want to make sure you want to be able to manage. Pay your bills on time always, and don't max out your credit card, or don't use more than 30% of your available credit. Okay, so that's the basics of credit cards and credit, right? And what you want to do is, now for the category, so I'm going to go to the second category, people that want to fix the credit, people that have a damaged credit. First thing you want to do is you want to go check your credit bureau, right? Check TransUnion or Equifax just to see what's on your credit profile, right? Don't get it from Credit Karma, get it directly from TransUnion and get it directly from Equifax, and see what's in there. Actually read it, print it out, and see, take a look at it, analyze to see what's in there, see if there's anything that's not supposed to be in there that doesn't make any sense, because you want to be able to see, okay, this is not my account, I never opened this account. And then once you read it, or once you get your credit report from either TransUnion or Equifax, now you're entitled to a free credit report every year, or you can just pay, I believe, $19, and then you have access to your credit profile, monitoring it for the whole month, right? So it's an investment that you can make so you can begin to repair. The repairing process starts with you looking at your credit profile to see what's in there, all right? So that's why you want to get it, print it, and read it, and see what's on your credit profile so that you can begin to the disputing process, because you cannot dispute what you don't know. You cannot dispute what you don't know that's on your credit profile, right? Because you might be telling yourself, oh, I need to fix my credit is bad. I haven't looked, but you have to look at it first, see what's in there, and then begin to dispute it, right? So you check it. So this is category 2 for people that are that have bad credit or need to fix their credit. Your first step is to actually take a look at your credit, right? Go to TransUnion, go to Equifax, and get the report directly from them. Don't use Credit Karma and all these different Borel. No. You gotta get it from the source. The source is it's TransUnion and Equifax. So you gotta get it from the source. These are the two credit bureaus in Canada. You gotta remember that, Equifax and TransUnion. So if you want to fix your credit, if you have a damaged credit, or if you need to repair your credit, your first step is to actually go and print the credit report from the credit source, which is TransUnion and Equifax, and see what's on your report. Once you see what's on your report, you're looking for any errors, any accounts that's not yours, that's not supposed to be there, and then you begin the disputing process, right? And then from there, then any account that it's actually in there that you owe, then you have to start doing you have to now start calling these creditors and start arranging something to see if you can either pay them off, or right. So, but I'll do another video on that to show you the steps on how to actually deal with a collection account, because one of the things about collection account is this: you don't want to reset a collection account, which means if you have a collection account that's been on your credit profile for 5 years, and then you go and pay that, then it's going to reset it. So which means it's going to start again from because usually a collection account stays on your credit report for 7 years. After 7 years, and it just automatically falls off, right? And it just falls off. So if, let's say, it's been there for 5 years, and you go and you make a payment, then you reset it, that clock again, so it starts back at year 1, right? So you want to be careful on how you go about that. Got to do your due diligence, and so there are strategies that you can do, because remember, 7 years, that's how long a collection account stays on your credit profile. So if it's year 6 and then you go and make a payment, you just reset it, the whole clock again to year 1. So you got to be very, very careful before you even make the payment on a collection account. There's some strategy that you have to do your due diligence on that aspect of it, right? So you have to be very, very, very careful on that. So that is really the basics of credit for people that want to establish it. People that have no credit profile, your first step of action will be to just go and apply for a credit card, which is to either to either MBNA or Capital One, so you can be on a credit profile. And once you get that credit card, You got to manage it wisely. You got no excessive spending. Don't be buying stuff that you don't need, because you're getting that credit card initially just for you to build credit, which goes back to my first question is, what is the reason why you want to fix your credit? What is the reason why you want to improve your credit? What is the reason why you want to establish credit? Is it because you're in the process of buying a house? Is it because you're in the process of buying a car? Or is it because you're in the process of getting a job and they're going to check your credit, which most employers nowadays do. They do check your credit. Or is it because you're about to go rent an apartment and you know that they're going to check your credit, right? So you have to have a reason why you want to fix it, why you want to improve it, so that way you can be diligent and consistent in getting it done. For the category 1 people, which is those that are establishing credit or those that don't have any credit, remember, once you get your first credit card, you got to manage it wisely. No excessive spending. If you do use it, you got to pay it off right away, right? Don't, right? So let's, like as I said, never use more than 30%. So once you reach that 30%, that $90, when your credit limit is $300, right? Once you hit that $90, you've already spent $90. Don't use it again. Now just pay it down, right? Pay it down back to zero, because you don't want to keep using it, and the next thing you know, your credit card is maxed. That's how you end up in a bad situation. Your credit is you ruin your credit. So I'm giving you some tips early for people that are about to establish credit, people that don't have credit, how you can manage your credit cards wisely in the beginning. Never max it out. Never spend more than 30% of your available credit, right? As I said, if your credit limit is $500, never spend more than 30% of that. So let's say if you spend $150, so $150 should be the max that you should be spending. Don't spend more than $150. And then once you hit that $150, then you start paying it off so that it goes back to a zero credit. So that's how you begin to build it. That's how you begin to improve it, right? By using it wisely, by managing it wisely, because credit card debt in Canada is a serious issue, and you do not want to end up in that situation where you're overwhelmed, you're overburdened with credit card debt because you did not manage it properly. So that's why I'm giving you this education, this information for those of you that are in that process that need to be building credit. You gotta know how to use credit wisely. And one of the best way is, once you use it, you pay it off. You use it, you pay it off. Use it, you pay it off. Especially if you're working and you're getting paid 2 weeks. So if you use it, once you get your paycheck, you pay that off right away. Use it again. Once you get your paycheck, you pay that off right away. Don't let that balance grow, because once you let that balance grow, interest starts accumulating and so on and so on. And it starts getting bigger. So that's how you use credit card. And then lastly is you have to set up there's something called automatic. You set it up on pre-authorized payments, so which means, right, just pre-authorize it so that way you don't forget, right, and then they can just automatically take the account from your checking account. Now, with that strategy, now you have to make sure you always have money on your checking account, because you don't want to end up with NSF on your checking account and then late payment on your credit card bills because you put it up on auto payment or a pre-authorized payment, and now you don't have money in your checking account, and now your credit card payment is late. So you have to make sure if you set it up on pre-authorized payment or auto payment on your credit card, you always have funds on your credit card, right? And then once you set it up, you can either set it up for it to be paid fully, or you just pay the minimum payment, depending on what you're more comfortable with. You can say, you know what, at the due date, I want the pre-authorized payment to take the money from my checking account just to pay but that's what goes back to you just don't want to do the minimum payment, right? You want to do more, so you can set up the minimum payment, so at least that way you're never late, right? Because you don't want to be late. The minimum payment will take care of the late payment, but you always make extra payment on it, right? So you always want to do extra payment, but if you at least set it up to pre-authorized debit or pre-authorized payment on your credit card, so whereby they're taking the amount from your checking account and they're paying your credit card on the due date. You can set it up where they can pay off the full balance, or they can just pay off the minimum payment. But if you do choose the minimum payment, you got to make sure you always make an extra payment, so that way you're showing the credit card companies that you're able to make more than just the minimum payment. So there you have it, just to recap it for everybody. So summary, so remember, if you're establishing credit, the best way to do it is get you a Capital One or MBNA card, and then use your credit card wisely, so you can build credit in the beginning, so that way, depending on the reasons why you want to build your credit, at least within 6 months, because that's how long it takes for you to be on on the credit, for your credit to be in the credit profile. So until then, I'm going to continue to give some more information, and maybe the next video I'll talk about for category 2 people that are trying to establish credit on different strategies, collection strategies that you can go about it. All right, peace.